The Beatles arrived in Japan today as their tour of the Far East continues. Across the Pacific in the United States, a furor is developing over comments John Lennon made. Quote, "Christianity will go. It will vanish and shrink. We're more popular than Jesus." Unquote. Here in Tokyo, violence broke out when right-wing fanatics demonstrated against the Beatles and their effect on Japanese youth.
This is Tommy Charles. If you, as an American teenager, are offended by statements from a group of foreign singers which strike at the very basis of our existence as God-fearing, patriotic citizens, then we urge you to take your Beatle records, pictures, and souvenirs to the pickup points about to be named. And on the night of the Beatles' appearance in Memphis, August 19th, they will be destroyed in a huge public bonfire at a place to be named soon. Stay tuned to Wacky for further development.
Now, this religious controversy, I know you don't want to say too much about it, but does it worry you that it's going to boil up when you get to the States?
Well, it worries me, yes, but I hope everything will be all right in the end of the day.
Well, I think the Beatles are a real talented group, but I think that they need to watch what they say because they're in such a position that a lot of teenagers really think of them as something really big, and when they say things like that, some teenagers are going to just believe anything they say.
No, but I'm not saying that we're better or greater or comparing us with Jesus Christ as a person or God as a thing or whatever it is. You know, I just said what I said and it was wrong or was taken wrong, and now it's all this.
Did you mean that the Beatles are more popular than Christ?
When I was talking about it, it was very close and intimate with this person that I know who happens to be a reporter. I was using expressions on things that I just read and derived about Christianity, only I was saying it in the simplest form that I know, which is the natural way I talk.
What's the most enjoyable thing to you about this adulation, this almost godhood on earth that you've achieved?
Don't say that.
It was him. He said it.
You all saw that.
We're more popular than Jesus now. John Lennon on Christianity. In 1966, John Lennon made a casual remark in an interview that would ignite one of the biggest controversies in rock history. Christianity will go. It will vanish and shrink. I needn't argue about that. I'm right, and I will be proved right. We're more popular than Jesus now. I don't know which will go first, rock and roll or Christianity. Jesus was all right, but his disciples were thick and ordinary. It's some twisting it that ruins it for me. At the time, this was a simple observation about how youth culture was shifting away from religion. Lennon wasn't attacking Christianity. He was noting that the Beatles were having a stronger cultural impact than the church, especially among young people in the UK. But the American Bible Belt took it as blasphemy, the fundamentalist outrage. Christian fundamentalists in the U.S., especially in the South, launched a mass hysteria campaign against the Beatles. Radio stations banned their music. Mass burnings of Beatles records were held in public displays of outrage. Death threats flooded in. The Ku Klux Klan even joined the protests, reinforcing the idea that religious fundamentalism and reactionary extremism go hand in hand. Under intense pressure, Lennon was forced to make a public apology, saying, "I suppose if I had said television is more popular than Jesus, I would have gotten away with it. I'm sorry I opened my mouth. I'm not anti-God, anti-Christ, or anti-religion. I was not saying we are greater or better. I just said what I said, and it was wrong. Or it was taken wrong. They still do this today." Lennon's forced apology is part of a much bigger pattern. Christian fundamentalists have been manufacturing outrage over pop culture for decades. If they feel even slightly challenged, they react with censorship, boycotts, and hysteria. Just look at recent examples. The Barbie movie, criticized as woke propaganda and satanic, simply because it encouraged self-reflection. Olympic opening ceremonies, accused of pagan rituals every single time, unless they're explicitly Christian. Harry Potter, Dungeons and Dragons, Pokemon, yoga, all labeled demonic at some point. Music and film censorship, from rock and roll in the 60s to rap and metal in the 90s. Christian groups have tried to ban or restrict anything outside their moral framework. Christianity, especially in its fundamentalist form, infantilizes discourse. Instead of engaging with ideas, It demands obedience and shuts down conversations. If we ever want a world where rational, adult discussions can take place, this childish hysteria needs to go. If religion can't handle being in the room without throwing a tantrum, it shouldn't be in the room at all. The irony! Lennon was right. In the end, Lennon's prediction was accurate. Christianity has declined massively, especially in Europe, while the Beatles' music remains as powerful as ever. Fundamentalists screamed, burned records, and threw tantrums, but art won. And that's the lesson. Creativity outlives control. Lennon is not alone. Galileo was right. Darwin was right. Every person that Christianity has tried to silence was eventually vindicated. They are always wrong. The question is, how much longer will the world keep entertaining their tantrums?